And now, a story from the Appleseed.
So, I'm an only child. And believe it or not, I've always been shy, especially when it comes to talking to strangers or making phone calls. I'm like an ostrich looking for a hole in the ground to hide. I don't like it. My hands sweat, my brain farts, I stumble over my words. My papi, afraid this could impact my future, decided to help me overcome my fears. So when I turned 11 years old, papi decided it was time for me to work. Now, my papi is one of those parents that cannot have someone sitting idly at home doing nothing. It feels like a waste of life. And that's fair because of the time I was showing a strong interest in the TV. For the past 10 summers, yes, I started at a toddler's age, I would wake up at 6 a.m. to watch the Smurfs continue with Thundercats, whoa! Then Pink Panther, Inspector Gadget, He-Man and the Master of the Universe, Ninja Turtles, Transformers, DuckTales, Looney Tunes, Ghostbusters, Pinky and the Brain, the Knights of the Zodiac, and on and on and on. And I would wrap up my day around 6 p.m. with a Japanese cartoon called Candy Candy. By the time my papi came back home, my eyes looked like squares. A clear sign of a day completely wasted in front of the TV. He would say, "If she keeps watching cartoons, she's going to rot her brains out." Ugh, parents. Anyway, my papi's desire to polish this rough diamond that I was coincided with a major event in our lives. We moved to a new neighborhood. It was a 3-story house in a new built condo, and people were just starting to move in. So I did what any other smart kid would have done when they have endless amount of time and no friends. I marathoned through cartoons. And that is when my papi devised an evil plan to unglue me from the TV. He booked my upcoming summer vacation with classes. Now I had Japanese class on Saturday mornings. Arigato gozaimasu. Tennis practice on Sunday mornings and English class on Tuesdays and Thursdays afternoons. No, thank you very much. And that was not enough for him. So here's the thing. Since we have moved in around February, Papi had been taking me to a place about a 10-minute drive from our home to eat paletas. A paleta is like an ice cream on a stick, but made of real fruit. My favorite paleta was chocolate peanuts, whereas my papi's favorite was vanilla, a tropical white and slimy fruit. Didn't I say my papi likes challenges? Every time we went to that paleta place, I felt I had earned a medal. It was this special time between padre e hija, father and daughter. So I should have known that when we started going more frequently, papi was up to something. Instead, I thought I was becoming my papi's best friend. So by the 3rd weekend of May, papi asked, "Hija, what do you think about opening your own paleta shop?" I thought, I don't know how to make ice cream. I don't know how to make anything at all. Especially after my mommy banned me from the kitchen after I almost burned the house down trying to bake her a cake for Mother's Day. What a fun surprise it would have been. Now, in my defense, it was my papi's idea, who thought by letting me bake and supervise, I would discover the non-existent cooking skills that he thought I possessed because I'm a female. I'm telling you, my papi had plans for me. Now back to that horrendous moment when my papi is pitching that hideous business idea. He said, "Yes, you can buy them from here and resell them." And I thought, resell them where? Also, I don't have any money. I'm only 11 and a half. My papi anticipated those questions. "Don't worry. You just resell them to the neighbors. And about the money, I'll lend you the money. And don't worry, you'll pay me back once you break even." Did I mention my papi is a businessman? Yeah. Well, at that moment, a hole opened in the ground. My stomach crumbled, and I imagined lines and upon lines of people coming to buy my paletas. I was gonna have to be nice, do math, and say, gracias. Not to mention my precious time in front of the TV gone. No! And then Papi said, when should you start? A rhetorical question because, of course, he already knew when. Then he went to talk to the paleta shop owner and he made a deal. Next Saturday, we were coming to get 50 of their most sold paletas. That next week, Papi encouraged me to design a flyer to advertise the business. So it came out like this. Deliciosas paletas Casa A12. Delicious paletas House A12. Reluctantly, I placed one outside our home and the other one on the bulletin board at the entrance of our condo. And I hoped that the scarcity of signs would draw minimum attention, the sales would slow down, I would have to declare bankruptcy, and sacrifice myself eating the inventory. Brilliant. Well, next Saturday, the day of the grand opening, I complained of a stomach ache, so I wouldn't have to go, to Japanese class and then start the business. But Papi bought me some adult diapers, and he said I could go about my day wearing those. So I did. Yep. Didn't I say my Papi is relentless? So I went to Japanese class and eventually Papi picked me up. We got the paletas, we brought them home. I threw them in the freezer. I ran upstairs, turned the TV on with the volume all the way up to hush any unwelcoming noises. And Papi stayed downstairs waiting for customers, whereas my mommy did the sensible thing. She took a nap. What a wise woman. And guess what? That afternoon, not a single paleta was sold. Papi said, no te preocupes, hija. Don't you worry, child. Things are always slow at first, but tomorrow after church service, you should pass some flyers. You'll see, the word will get out. No! Sunday. After church service, Papi made me stand outside to hand out flyers to those people he recognized lived in our condo. And it was at that ominous moment when a girl about my age, with two ponytails and one of those orthodontic headgears that they used in the 80s to strengthen your teeth. You remember those? The ones with the wires that went around your head? That it made you look like a pre-adolescent Hannibal Lecter? Terrifying. Well, she approached me and she asked, "Can I have a flyer?" Cautiously, I asked, "Do you live at Condominio Pio 12? That was the name of the place I lived. And she said, "No, I don't." Oh, I knew it. She had been sent by Gargamel, the Smurf's arch enemy. Yeah, he had done it before. Oh, and so I said, "Then you cannot have it." But that girl was on a mission. And so she said, "I don't live there, but mi abuela, mi abuelo, mi tía, my three cousins, my grandma, my grandpa, my aunt, they live there." And then, with that weird, wired smile, she grabbed a flyer from my hands and she walked away. No! In that moment, I almost fainted, imagining that girl coming with her abuela, abuelo, tía, tío, 3 cousins, 7 parrots, 80 cats, 90 dogs, all her enemies and friends, and all the Slimers from all around the world. The Ghostbusters couldn't save me from this. I was going to have to be nice, do math, and say, gracias. That afternoon, I went to the bathroom 50 times. Yet nothing happened. But that next week, I was on high alert. Any bum, boom, ding dong, would make my heart stop. Well, Next Saturday, Papi was getting impatient, so he went to check on the flyers I had put on days back, and he found out that the one I put outside our home was in a non-visible spot. To that, I said, it's in my short jeans. I can't reach that high. The importance of knowing science and good arguments, friends. Then Papi found out that the one I had put up on the bulletin board had been taken down because they needed to put other announcements. And so my Papi convinced the guardman to let us put ours back on, and his help was rewarded with a tasty paleta on the house. Later, Papi called that the cost of doing business, yet I was the one drowning in debt. Well, that afternoon, Papi forced me to sit outside our home and wait for customers. So I brought a book, and I hoped I would have an uninterrupted reading. And I did for about an hour. But then a 5-year-old boy comes and stands right there in front of me, and he looked at me. No, he stared at me as if he was running an inspection. So I put my book down, and I stuck my tongue out. Duh. Oh, that boy ran away, and I thought, I got this. But 5 minutes later, that boy came back with his older sister, a girl about my age. And then that girl caught me by surprise, because with the sweetest voice, she said, "Hi, my cousin said that they were selling paletas at Casa A12. Is this house A12? With growing suspicion, I said, "It is." "Oh, this is great. I would like chocolate peanuts, and my brother would like vanilla. Gracias." I said, "Wait." And I went back inside, closed the door behind me, and I thought how to ruin the sale. Because clearly she had been sent by Dr. Claus, Inspector Gadget's arch enemy. I mean, when you watch so much TV, you ended up seeing enemies everywhere. So I thought maybe I could just pretend they weren't there. But that was too obvious. And then I thought, what would the Pink Panther do? Oh, I know. I would go outside and say, "Oh, sorry, we're run out of paletas for the day, the weekend, the whole summer." But at the same time, I was conflicted because she liked the same flavor I liked, chocolate peanuts. What are the odds? When you are a child and someone likes the same color you like, you are besties for life. But when I'm trying to make a decision, Papi came and urged me, apure, hurry up. Don't make your customers wait. Grab the paletas, napkins, and change. So I did. And that was my first sale. Later, Papi said, "Buen trabajo, hija. Good job, kiddo. You'll see. They'll bring more customers." Oh, my stomach hurt. And so they did. That entire week, I had a lot of customers. But they were all my height or shorter. And they loved cartoons. They were children, my people. But the biggest challenge was about to come. Next Saturday, after I had taken care of a couple of boys, the bell rang. Ding dong! I went to open it expecting children, but then I saw 2 big beach sandals attached to 2 long, hairy legs, a well-developed torso, strong biceps, and the head of the most handsome 20-year-old man in the condo, Oscar, with his girlfriend. And so he said, "Hola, chica. I heard you're selling paletas. So how much is it, and what flavors do you have?" I said nothing. Then I heard his girlfriend whispering, "I think you're scaring her." I said nothing. And it was at that moment when my whole world was blurring out, that I saw shadows of people lining up behind them. And when I thought I was about to faint, that girl who had been my first sale, do you remember her? She came from the line and she stood right there between Oscar and myself, and she said, "We have different flavors, but our most sold are chocolate peanuts. 2 of those?" He said, "Sure thing." And it was at that moment that I turned into a zombie. I went back inside and I... If you don't speak zombie language, this is what happened. I went inside, I grabbed those paletas, 2 paletas, the napkins and change. I went outside, I handed it to her, and she took over the operation for the rest of the afternoon. Yes. Later, at the end of the day, she said, "It looks like you owe me a paleta." Oh, I ran back inside and I brought those, one for her, one for me, because I had been through such traumatic experience. And we talked. And we discovered we had so much in common, except for the fact, the fear of talking to strangers, right? And yes, in time, we became best friends. And her family, regular customers. By the end of the summer, my puppy didn't say much about the business and everything, but I knew he was proud of me. And I was able to pay my loan back to Bank Puppy. And I used my gainings, I invested them in my new best friend's business idea, cupcakes. But we didn't do that well because I had a baking record. And we went back to school. Now, of course, I still sometimes stumble over my words, when I'm talking to someone. My brain still farts and all that. But I'm doing better. And a lot of times people think I'm pulling their leg or I'm a tough negotiator, and I let them believe it. Now, for those of you wondering about my TV addiction, what can I say? We got Netflix. No, I'm kidding, but we do. But in those times when we didn't, I traded it for a good friendship, and I would do it again in a heartbeat. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us for a story from the Appleseed.